All right, Kevin, can you hear us all right?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, we're live on YouTube and we're recording.
Okay. So am I going to try to share the meeting from afar? I guess so. I will call to order this meeting of the Grand County Audit Committee. And our let's see, first order of business is citizens to be heard. Um, I can't see the audience. Is there anyone in the chamber who's here to talk? No, looks like no. Okay. Moving on. We have approval of minutes for June 12th and May 20th.
I'll make a motion. We approve those minutes.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Bill, seconded by Trish. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passes. Um, okay, the next item is a discussion of our bylaws. Is this one of yours, Bill? Did you want to lead the discussion?
I just wanted this on here so that we had it available to us if there were any questions.
I see. Okay, so we're not discussing like revising the bylaws. You just wanted them in the packet. Is that
Yes.
okay? Great. So no. And I think in our email discussion, Cody Dieter is not available this week to review the internal audit stuff, and Gabriel is also out of town, so we will not have either of our usual agenda items there, and that leaves a review of the request for proposals for the financial advisor position. I assume we've all had time to look at those.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Um, Anyone want to kick off the discussion? If not, I will.
I'm glad to. I think it's clear where my feelings are on EFG and the fact that they're unqualified to perform the duties that would be basically overseeing themselves. And I quite frankly think we want somebody located within our own state, which would then just leave us with one option, which is Orvis out of Salt Lake City. So I'm more than glad to make the motion to nominate Forbes so that we can get somebody on board and moving. I think that our schedule, although Gabe mentioned in his email that the financials are not ready yet, they likely will be before our next meeting. And at the time that we want to go over the financials, I think it's important that we have that financial expert position appointed and somebody here. Thank you, Quinn, for reminding me again.
I am fine with removing EFG. I'm not so quick to disqualify Aaron Tax and Advisory. When you look at their qualifications, I just wrote down a couple things. One, their rate was much more reasonable than Forbes. I can't remember what Forbes was, if it was 210 to 585 per hour, where Aaron was $100 an hour, and Aaron was highly qualified. My assumption is, and obviously that might have to be a discussion directly with them, that they would understand Utah statute, but they're highly qualified. And so I'm not so quick to disqualify them. Those are just my statements.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I was also underwhelmed by well, that's not the right word, but you know, it would be nice to have people with a lot of local government in Utah specific experience, and I didn't notice that in those two applications. Um, I think, you know, I'm still on the fence about whether we should re-examine EFG, but it does seem like they have increasingly many other contracts with the county, and each one of those adds up to potential conflicts. But leaving that aside, you know, there's sort of a known quantity.
Kevin, can I jump in and just, I would mention that we did put out a request for proposals for the impact fee analysis, and EFG was one of the respondents and a very high-ranking candidate in that process. So there could even be one more,
Okay, yeah,
just take that into consideration.
There could be one more applicant.
No, contract with EFG to
Oh.
do the impact fee analysis. So I think that should weigh in your decision.
Right, I agree.
Yeah.
And I also, and were you done, Kevin? I don't want to interrupt you.
I was almost done. So I guess, you know, I think, you know, Bill makes a good point that we'd like to get someone on board. But if, you know, there's also advantages to soliciting bids from, like that list of local Utah firms. Yeah, I'm not advocating that. I'm just mentioning that as a possibility if neither of the other two applications seems like a perfect fit. So now I'm done.
And my thoughts were is the first list, let me go back to it, are non-audit accounting services. And so I went to the other one. Isn't it Gilbert and Stewart that does the city of Moab's? And they seem to have had a pretty clean financial statement because of that. So I would be interested if we wanted to reach out to somebody. My reluctance is the timing is that we're running out of time with the financials. Now, Gabe didn't give us a date when those would be ready, but it is clear that they're already late. So I'm guessing that he's going to be pushing to get those done fairly soon. So we would have to ask them to apply for the RFP, correct? And then we would have to consider them in the process. If we reach out to anybody else, not just the one that the city's used.
I would want to almost revisit the purchasing policy in a little bit more in depth, but I think that where we've fulfilled the obligation of the county to go out to bid for this, we do retain the right in every RFP to further negotiate or to reach out to other companies. I would defer to Stephen. I don't see a problem with reaching out to someone else and just asking for a flat hourly rate at this point, because the RFP has been completed. We're under no obligation to go with one of the RFP respondents.
We are under no, you say, or okay. So it would be legal to reach out and ask somebody else if we wanted another one, because really in my mind, there's only one of the three that are qualified because of the distance with Florida. I can imagine staff and ourselves having to deal with that, but then, I'm totally fine with Forbes. I think that they show a very strong, I mean, they're a huge company. They've got people all over the world, and they're extremely strong right here in Utah. So,
No, as long as the attorney doesn't think that that's a violation of policy, I think we're open. We can reach out to someone else at this point. If that's the direction you're going to go.
think that we would then have to call a special audit committee meeting if we're going to entertain an additional one, so that we're ready before the financial statements are presented. Unless somebody sees that differently, but.
Okay. I had a question for Quinn. So if in a typical, so suppose we go with four of us, hypothetically, and then after a couple of meetings, we're very dissatisfied. Are we under any sort of long-term obligation? You know, I'm assuming that they're just, you know, they charge an hourly rate and they work to the extent we ask them to. And if we sort of say, okay, your services are no longer required, we're going to look for someone else. I guess what I'm just looking at is like how if if we end up regretting the decision, how much money are we out? And I'm hoping it's like only a relatively small amount for the hours they've already spent.
I would, and I don't do this out of meanness, but I would defer to the attorney and the creation of the contract. I think that we could do the contract that only ran through the end of the year. And if we had a good experience, we could renew it. And if not, we could seek a different advisor. That's just off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think structuring the contract is going to be the important part. If you have an hourly agreement, you should be fine. Normally in these contracts, both sides are going to want a reasonable notice of the termination period. So if you put 30 days, 90 days, something like that, we don't want either party to be caught out. And the problem is for the county is likely you're going to want a period of time of coverage and guaranteed so they can't just walk away. And then similarly for them, they want enough time to justify engaging and setting up the amount of time. So usually that contract termination period is going to be at the discretion of the party. So if they wanted to make that something as short as until the end of the year or as long as 1 year, it takes away flexibility the longer term unless you have some exit clauses in there. And what we often see is just a notice in X amount of days that either side can quit. And in this area for this type of position, you're probably going to want at least 60 days or 30 days, depending on how many projects you guys have outstanding for them. But that's only, it's every single one of our contracts has that with the county. And oftentimes we're not triggering that clause because it's a pain to find somebody, and then usually we're satisfied with it. I don't know anybody currently that we've outright terminated a contract, but my memory's not as long as other people's memories.
I would think we would want that escape clause or however you worded it, Kevin, regardless of who we go with. Right.
Okay. Well, again, so it sounds like Bill's comfortable making a recommendation to the full commission to go with 4 of us. Trish
Yeah, I'm fine with
didn't
that.
want to rule out. Okay,
Yeah,
it
I'm
sounds
not
like
like,
we're all
I'm
fine
not
with that.
heels dug in. I think it's fine.
Okay, I guess I'm fine too. Keeping in mind that it's sort of, as long as it sounds like by default the contract will be structured so that we could change horses if we needed to. And in that case, I'm willing. They might turn out great for all we know. So maybe a motion that we recommend to the full commission that we enter into a contract with Forvis for providing financial audit services to the audit committee, financial advisor services to the audit committee.
Okay. So yes, I'll make that motion that we enter into a contract with Forvis for the financial expert portion of the internal and external audit committee. What else did I need to add
Or
to
are
that?
we making a recommendation to the?
We're making a recommendation to the commission, yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, that's a motion by Bill.
I can second that.
And again, Trish seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
I,
Okay, looks like that's unanimous. Okay, my reading of the agenda is we don't have anything else before adjournment. Is anything else we want to discuss?
Just the fact that when we do schedule our next meeting, I think it's pretty important that we do have Gabe here. I know that maybe this thing caught him by surprise or something, but I would think with it, it's pretty important that we have his portion of the county's information for us when we have these meetings in the future. I mean, he's a pretty key player, so he did mention that he was going to get me some more information that he couldn't have by the time of this meeting. I had asked for some information, but it's still forthcoming. So I just think it's pretty critical we have Gabe. We make sure that all of our schedules work out for that.
Okay, so I think we previously agreed to bi-monthly meetings, and the next one's coming up September 16th. But it sounds like we would all be happy to move that date if that's necessary to make sure Gabe can attend. And we can, check early that that's a date that works for him. So,
And did you say that was September 16th?
yeah,
Okay, I don't have my calendar open, but
yeah. So the remaining two for this year, September 16 and November 18. And I think those are probably like the Wednesday after the third Tuesday. It's the day after a commission meeting. If I don't have a calendar either, but something like that. But we've in the past, I've always been very flexible about rescheduling those to meet people's schedule constraints. So.
and then the only other thing I have, just looking at our agenda for this meeting, is if maybe we could get headings on the next one, so the separation, so we have actual agenda items that would be voted on and then discussion items separated. I just was a little bit unclear of how we were going about this one today, so.
Okay, yeah, and I'll accept some of the blame for that. I mean, I should have reviewed it once it got posted to make it clear, but I was distracted by other things and didn't get a chance to. But I agree, the indentation and organization of the agenda could have been better. So, but I think it's that's a joint responsibility of the chair and staff. So I will work with staff to make sure that's better next time.
I'm fine.
No, I'm good.
Okay, then I will adjourn this meeting of the Grand County Audit Committee. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.